I believe. And today, folks, we are going to be looking at a new printer that just came out today, but I've had it for a couple of days. I haven't unboxed it yet. But we are looking at, and I have to get my Amazon stream going here. Let me get that going, actually, and then we'll talk more about what we're looking at here. All right. We are almost there on Amazon, and we're good on Amazon. Okay. So what I got in the other day is the HP NV6455. This is on loan from HP. And this is their new all-in-one printer, and it's kind of following their new consumer look and feel. So the guts, the mechanism is a lot similar to other inkjets that might be out there, but they're making it friendlier to use, and it's easier to set up as a result. So what we're going to do today on the stream is we're going to set the printer up, and we're going to set it up not only on my network, but I'm going to get it to work with a Mac, with a PC, and a Chromebook, just to make sure we get all those bases covered. And then what we're going to do is print out some stuff and do the scanner and that kind of thing. And I'll be shooting B-roll for a review that I'll be doing a little bit later. So that's kind of the game plan here. So let me just get my screens up here. I just want to get everything set up so I can follow the chat as we are doing stuff here. So probably not the most exciting thing to stream about, but somebody has to, right? So that's why I get sent printers to review, because I review printers sometimes. And I don't know a lot about all the higher end printing, but I know a lot about consumer printing. So that's why we're gonna look at it. So that's the plan. So let's get it out of the box here. I've got until probably about 4:30 or so, so about 90 minutes or so we can do stuff with. And I believe this is on loan from HP, so there's probably a return label, for me at least, in the box. Now, one thing about HP printers that you should know about, and let me get my other camera on here that might give you a better view of this, is that they have what's called their Instant Ink service. And this is something to think about if you know that you print a lot of stuff out. So what happens here is that you pay a monthly fee, and then you have like a certain number of pages that you can print per month. And this particular printer comes with a 2-month trial to this. So what happens is that you pay per page. Essentially, you get the subscription fee for the amount of pages you're going to print. And then when you are done with, like when your ink cartridges run out, they just send you another one automatically. And then you can roll over unprinted pages from 1 month to the next. They give you a certain amount of rollover also. And there's a couple of different plans that you can choose from. I've done a video about this. It might be worth looking at, because what's interesting about the way HP does stuff, and this is not a commentary as to which model is better, but HP has decided we're going to sell you the printer at the same price you're used to paying for the printer at. And then we're going to make the consumable costs lower by getting you into a subscription program. So they get like guaranteed revenue, but the cost for the ink is less with the subscription than it is if you buy the cartridges outright. So it's kind of figuring out, like, you got to look at your math and figure out how you're making stuff work out. What I found with the subscription plan is that it works better in many ways for people that don't print all that often, because you do lose a lot of ink when your printer is cleaning itself out. And I'm one of those people. I print a lot on my laser printer, because I do mostly black and white printing here. But the color stuff, I'm constantly having to run my printers through their cleaning cycle, and it cleans your cartridges out. So you're not dinged for the cleaning cycle. You're only, you're not charged, but you're metered based on the number of pages that you're printing according to your subscription plan. And then if you go over, then there's a certain amount that you pay in addition to that. But it's something where it's going to be so unique to each person, you got to have to figure out what works best for you. But it's something really to consider, because I do think it costs less. Ink cartridges, this is one of those printers that has the black cartridge and then the color cartridge. And there's 3 colors on the color cartridge. So if one of those colors goes out, you got to replace the whole thing. And again, that's why the instant ink thing might be a little better, because you don't have that penalty either, right? So just something to think about. Now, the alternative is the Epson approach. And we're going to actually, I've got one of those Epsons in, which we'll take a look at next week. The Epson approach is you pay full price for the printer. So their printer, it's an all-in-one, kind of like this one. You're going to spend $700 or $800 for it, but the ink is like, you got enough ink for 2 years in the box. And then the ink bottles cost a lot less on those Epson ones. And again, it's just a matter of what works best for you. And for some people, you know, buying the ink cartridges every quarter might be the better way to go. So that's kind of the choice that you have to make. But HP went with the instant ink model. And I've heard from people that like it. I think they find that it's cheaper, you know, it's less expensive, and it works for them. So Greg M says, oh yeah, so Greg M makes a good point. So they do have some DRM on the cartridges. So if you were to cancel the instant ink subscription and you still had a bunch of cartridges, the printer does check to see if you're a member. And you may not be able to use them if your subscription lapses. So you can't go out and you know, they do that for a whole host of reasons, one of which is they don't want you reselling the cartridges if you cancel your subscription and all that kind of stuff. So that's something to think about. And Greg M says, I have a friend who swears by the instant ink, but personally he uses monochrome, and that's it. You know, printing is such an individual thing, right? And everyone prints at different volumes, and they have different needs. And so I actually am appreciative that there's actually choices now, which there wasn't so many in the past. So that's kind of a good thing. But yeah, you got to really do the math. And it's good. I mean, I think it's good that these choices require consumers to be smart about it, you know, and figure out what works best for them. Now, on the other side of the room, I've got this Lexmark laser printer, and that one came in back in 2014, and I still have the starter toner cartridge. That's it's a laser printer, so it's just black and white, but I'm still on the first cartridge on that thing. And I print, you know, not a lot. We print probably, I would say we print about 20 pages a week tops. So I'm not a very high volume printing person. So I print out, for every video that I do, I print out something. You know, I have a little cheat sheet that I print before I do a video. So there's always at least 5 or 6 pages that I generate. And then of course with the kids learning from home right now, we're printing stuff for them. So there's a good amount. I'm just looking at the weight distribution here. Yeah, it's okay. It's very top heavy, so I'm like, I wonder if this would like tip off the end of a table. But we're just taking all the tape out of here, and then what we'll do is fire it up. Now the inside, let me see if I can give you an overhead here. The inside is not much different than what you've seen before. And so, you know, like the technology has improved, I think, with printers over the years, but it's, you know, if it looks and will sound and will perform very similar to other printers you've probably been associated with. That HP Tango we looked at last year, which was their first foray into this new design that they're doing on the consumer side. You know, it's generally using the same guts as one of their earlier printers with some, you know, just some improvements. And I think that's kind of the case here. They weren't talking too, I had a briefing with them the other day. They weren't talking too much about anything new and spectacular on the print side. I think they've hit like a maturation point, so things are kind of where they need to be. So Ethan makes a good question. Does a printer need a 24/7 internet connection? So I don't believe it does, and it all depends on how you use it. So there's an option with this printer, and all of the HP printers now for that matter, in that you can connect to the printer over the internet, and you could print to it anywhere in the world. So for example, if you're on a business trip and you want to print out a receipt back at the house, load up the phone app or the Windows app, and you're good to go. You don't have to, though, do that. So once you get it set up, you could have it not work on the network at all. And you could it'll just work like a regular HP printer. So what I found with these is that all of the usual HP stuff is still working. It's just that they've added this new layer that takes advantage of the internet connection. The ink, though, so if you are on the Instant Ink program, the printer is going to need the connection to communicate with the server to tell it when it needs another order of ink to come in. So you've got that kind of weighing on there. Now, unlike the HP Tango, this one has a USB port here. This is a USB, I think it's a B port. So this is like your standard, USB 2.0 cable that would connect back to the computer. So you can hook it up that way. But what I'm going to do is just get it on my Wi-Fi, because I just want to have this printer discoverable. I don't want to have to download drivers. I want to try to kind of follow the track that a consumer might take with it. So we're going to just plug it in here, and there's a power switch in the back. Yeah, there's no network or anything, just that USB connector there. And we'll get the printer fired up here. And what I think I have to do now is get my phone out. So we're going to do that real quick here. And I think this is where we're going to bring in a few more things into my video system, because my phone can transmit its screen now to my video system here. So we'll start broadcast. And I'm just going to hit... I'm just trying to figure out the best placement for the video from this. All right, so we got that going. And you can hear the printer is starting to do its thing. And what they've done is they said that they got rid of the display panel and all the buttons, because they want you doing everything from the phone. Now, the other thing with this is that, by the way, this is like $150, so it's not even that expensive. But again, you got the ongoing ink cost. Now, the other thing that they're doing with this is you got the light here to kind of indicate what's going on. Everything you do to control the printer, you're doing it from your phone, essentially, or the computer. But it looks pretty cool. I like the light. I like the light a lot here. Okay, so now I think the next step here is to get the phone going. So what I need to do is I just need to set up a little 2-up screen here so that I can get both the phone and the printer on at the same time. So bear with me for 1 second here, folks. I'm just going to get both of these things set up in a 2-up here. And what I might do is I might put this on screen so you can see me working on it, so it's not just a total thing of me talking here. So we'll put the printer over here, and then I'm going to go and add another overlay, and we're going to bring my phone in, and I've got it on the Amazon chat window here. Now, one thing I've noticed with the with this NDI app on the iPhone is that it's leaving a little bit on the edge on the right-hand side. So I've just got to trim off that little thing there. And then I can move this over to the side here. And I think I might just make it a little bit smaller. And there we go. Just so that I can have a 2-up here so we can see what exactly is going on. And we'll move this kind of down in here a little bit. I could probably make that slightly bigger. What I need to do is I can start saving these as presets, and I haven't done so, and I probably need to get going on that. Okay, so I think that looks okay. What do you think? Yeah, I'm looking at it on the screen right now. I think what I do want to do, though, is move down that iPhone image just a tad. So let's move that overlay 2 down just a little bit here. Get it more even. Okay. That looks good. Okay. And what's amazing about all of this is that the computer that I built to do this, I have yet to hit 20% utilization on this thing. I've had like 4 or 5 cameras in here, so I think the next step is probably going to be getting to 4K. Just because I have the horsepower here, I just don't have the bandwidth. So that's that. All right, so some comments coming in on the YouTube. David Yablonsky says it's a nice printer. Yeah, I agree. I think they've done nice work here. I really like the lighting effects here. And this light will change color depending on the printer's mood. So right now I think it's saying that it's hungry because it needs ink, which we'll install here in a second. And what I'm going to do is kind of run through the setup process with this. And HP has their Smart app, which is what you're going to run to do all this installation stuff. So I just have to get the app on my phone real quick. And then we can kind of walk through it. And Recipe Bob says that when he goes to print, which I'm assuming is not often, he says that his printer is wasting ink by cleaning. And I think that's the one area where, again, you got to do the math on this, but I think that's one of the areas where the instant ink might make sense because you're not charged for cleaning. So that's something to think about. All right, so this is cool. So it says we found a new printer. Let me hit the record button here. It says we found a new printer, so we're going to set it up. So tap here to start. And look at that, it found it automatically. How about that? And there's a couple different versions of this. So this is like the top end one that has the auto document feeder. And they said this is a duplex feeder, so we'll test that too. But there's another one that's just the flatbed with the printer in there, of course. All right, so we're going to go to continue. And would you like us to put it on the Wi-Fi network automatically? Okay, let's see what happens. And it's going to gather information about my network. It's interesting that it's going to airport setup to do this. And that's the network I'm on. Let's see if it's going to work. Now, a lot of times this doesn't work on the way I have my network set up. And by the way, my phone just dropped off because it just knocked me off the Wi-Fi here. Oh, it's back on. Because I have this it did work. I have a 5 gigahertz network that I segmented from the 2.4 gigahertz, and I did that so my kids' iPads won't mess up my Wi-Fi. But there we go, we're on the network. Hit the easy button, folks. That was pretty easy. Okay, so now it says there's a flashing button, and I could probably show you what that button looks like here. So it wants me to press the flashing information button on my printer. And for your security, we confirm your proximity to the printer. So it's doing that probably through Bluetooth. So let's go over to the printer here, and we're going to hit the I button. All right, I'm pressing it. There it goes. And now it's getting setup instructions. Okay, and there we go. Now what's funny is my production PC just found the printer on the network on Windows 10. Okay, so let's load paper, it says. Okay, so we're going to pull the paper tray out and slide out the guides. Okay, so let's do that real quick, and I'll just cut to this image here, and we'll pull out the paper tray, and we're going to slide out the guides. All right, and then we're going to load the paper. So we're going to load letter, and it doesn't look like it's got a ton of paper capacity here. So I've probably got maybe 50 sheets or so, and it's going to vary based on the thickness of the paper you're choosing. So that's one thing to keep in mind here. So let's get the paper loaded in there, and it looks like it's got room for your legal size paper. Now, what we're going to have to look at in a little bit is whether or not there's a separate document feeder, which I don't think it has. So your envelopes are going to go in there as well. And that's going to be one of the one issues is paper handling, right? So it doesn't look like it's got a lot of flexibility in the paper handling department. All right, so now it's time to install the ink. And we need to open the ink door. And look at that, it lights up. I want to show you this real quick. So it's lighting up the ink door, so I know where to go for the ink. So we're going to open it up, and now we're going to put in some ink. So the next step is we open the ink door. Okay, I did that. And I want to remove the protective tape on the cartridges. So we're going to pull the cartridges out here and get those going. So let's grab the... all right, and we just need to pull the tape off of these. Now these ink cartridges are expensive because they have the ink, but they also have the print head on them. So on the Epson printers, you're replacing the ink, but not the print head. And this, I believe, is the color one, and then this is the black and white one here. And they are color-coded, so you know which one you're inserting where, I think. Actually, that was the black one, I'm sorry. So this is the color one. And we're just going to pull that tape off. So now we've got 2 cartridges ready to go here. We'll put that one in there. And the black one here will go in, oops, got loaded in there. There we go. All right, so now we've got that going. And I'm just going to follow through on the rest of the instructions here. We got them clicked into place. And now we can close the ink door. And now, I'm guessing it's going to detect that I've done that. And I think now I've seen the color on the printer change. And now it's going back to check the printer, and it says we've successfully installed the ink. All right. So now it wants to do an alignment test, so we'll click continue to do that. And it's going to print out its first page as a newly minted printer here. So let's let that go. And I'm guessing it's doing some priming right now to get stuff going. So BB Garnett says he has an OfficeJet 8720, paid $150 for it, and it looks like you might need a new print head. Yes, that's the one issue, is you may as well just buy new hardware when the print head costs as much as the printer does, right? And that's it. These things are really about the consumables and how you want to pay for them. David Yablonsky says he saves so much money using Instant Ink. He prints all the time, 14 bucks a month, so it's cost effective for his printing needs, especially a lot of printing with the kids being schooled at home. That's for sure. So yeah, like I said, I think the Instant Ink really works well depending on your situation. And I think if you're really frustrated by spending 40 bucks every 2 weeks for another set of ink, because what's nice about the Instant Ink is they don't ding you based on the coverage. So for example, like this page uses far less ink than a photo would, for example, or a lot of business graphics. So Instant Ink doesn't ding you based on the coverage. It's just the page count. So if you're printing a lot of business documents and things that have a lot of colorful graphics on them, you're going to save a lot more than you would perhaps than just doing some light coverage kinds of things, because they're looking at the averages. And that's the one thing, is HP knows what the averages are because they see all the data that comes through. All right, so alignment required for best print quality. Print this, place this page face down on the scanner glass. Oh, so it's going to scan this back in. That's pretty convenient. All right, so now we are going to scan the alignment page. So we're going to open up the lid, and we're going to, I'm guessing, just put the paper down here. Let's see, place the page face down on the scanner glass, align to the corner, okay, and close the scan lid. And then press the copy button on the printer. So we're going to go over to the printer here and push the copy button. And let's see what happens. And so it does have some capacitive buttons here on the face. But I really like the look of it. I think it's a nice looking printer. My wife has been opposed to having printers located. We have like an open living room kitchen upstairs, and she's not wanted a printer up there because they look ugly. But this is not a bad looking printer. So right now it's scanning it. All right, so now we have scanned the alignment page, and the alignment is completed. Okay, so I'll click continue. Now what? All right. Now here comes the ask, right? So do we want to do Instant Ink plus 2 months free? I am probably not going to do this at the moment because I have enough ink to do my review. So I'm just going to say get ink at the regular price. But I really think, though, like if you are getting one of these printers, and again, I'm not trying to push this. I'm not getting paid for this to be pushing printer plans at you. But I think the instant ink, depending on usage, is a much more economical way to go about things. And again, it's because of coverage. It's because of not being dinged for head cleaning and all that garbage, and the fact that the cost of ink is less expensive with the subscription than it is to buy it outright. But that's your choice. I'm going to choose not to do it at the moment just because my needs for this review are not requiring that. And now, of course, it says, all right, I'll have you remind me if I decide to change my mind there. Okay, so now we are ready to go. So now it says install software from 123.hp.com to print from other mobile devices or computers. Add the printer on the new device. Okay, so let me, I'll do this on the other ones because I'm actually going to set this up a little differently. And we'll talk to you about, let me just write this down though, 123.hp.com. So I think what I might do with at least this computer, the Mac, is run through the process. Okay. All right, so now we're good. So now what I can do is print out a test page. So why don't we do that real quick, and we'll see how fast like a standard color document comes out. I am probably going to print a something a little bit more involved that I like to test on these printers just to see how it works. And let's see where it goes. There it goes. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's not, you know, I mean, honestly, like any printer is good these days, as far as this price point, and what you get from it. But it looks good, nice and clean. I'm not using like the highest quality paper, so it's not, you know, spectacular paper, but it looks good, nice and sharp. Text looks good. Seeing a little bit of banding here on the on these areas, but this came out as, so this prints out like in the draft mode, which is less cautious but faster. So if you don't care about super solid colors, then you know you go with this mode. But then if you really want to get a higher quality image, you got to run it on the finer mode, which takes longer. And I have a document that I like to print on the Mac that really tests this. So there you go. Not bad. So let me see what folks are saying. Jose says, great video. Awesome. Glad it's looking good. And you can watch me here on YouTube or on Amazon, because I have placement on both. Oh, so now, here, let me show you something else that I just saw on the screen here. So I am getting a firmware update. So as long as your printer is turned on, it will automatically update soon. I wonder if I could force that. So let's see what we have. Now, the other thing that they've got that they wanted me to know about is they have this Play and Learn section, which looks like a web-based thing. This is an app or something. So you can download like activities for the kids or whatever, and they just print out from the phone over the network. And that might be something that you might want to keep stuff going for. Now, the other thing that this can do, let me just pull up one other screen here. You can, by the way, email documents to the printer. I'm not going to share that email address with you right now because I know everybody would just start printing stuff out over email. There is a fax option here. I'm just looking for it on the screen here because this one doesn't connect to a phone line, but they have an online fax thing now that you can use to fax out. And my understanding when they did the thing with me is that the fax program is like free for a year or two, and then after that there's going to be some kind of fee for it. But that's that. So David Yablonsky is loving the instant ink. Servesh from India is here. Welcome. We're just testing out a little printing thing today. We haven't looked at printers live before, and I just got this printer in, and I thought, hey, let's do it live. Right? As they say, do it live. So that's what we're doing. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring in my my computer now. And let me go back to my Amazon app and see if I missed any chats. Teha T wants to know if this is an inkjet or a laser jet. This is an inkjet. So this is printing with ink. And I'm going to bring in, let me just stop recording here real quick and just mark this clip. So I'm just going to segment my B-roll clips here so I have everything organized the way I would like. And this is going to be 7,000. This is HP NV setup B-roll. Because what's nice about doing this now is that when I shoot the video, I can run through the setup and just overlay the B-roll on top of that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is bring in my Mac screen so we can see what the setup process is on all the different computers. And so let's bring that one in. And I'm going to create a new window here. And what we're going to do is going to turn off my notifications here. Do not disturb. OK. So what we're going to do is go to that website that they suggested we visit, which is 123.hp.com. And let's see what we get when we get there. OK, so download HP software to set up your HP printer. And I'm doing this on the Mac just because I want to compare what an operating system install would be versus just doing it this way. So this is the NV Pro 6455. And we'll do search. Get the app. OK, is it going to, I don't think it's going to do what I think it's going to do here. All right, so it's going to take me to the Mac App Store, but I don't think it's going to give me what I'm looking for here. Oh, they do have a Mac app. How about that? OK, so let me just grab that real quick and see what that's going to entail. Now, what these apps do, and they have a Windows one along with the iPhone one, which we looked at before. And then they also have a Mac one, apparently. And so this is how you would be able to access the printer when you're not on site. And I covered a lot of this with the HP Tango review that I did, so you might want to check that after this is over with if you're curious as to how all this works. And we'll let that download, and we'll check that out real quick. Now, I'm just curious to see what happens when I load the app, but my advice would be, especially for those of you that aren't keen on the internet printing, I would install the mobile app on your phone and then just go on your operating system's printer thing and just add it that way, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. Because what happened here, when this printer came on the network, my production computer, the one that's driving everything, the stream right now, it popped up a picture of the printer in the notification thing on the side of Windows 10 and said, hey, your printer is on the network. You want to add it? I'm like, no, you're my production computer. You don't print anything. That was not what I wanted it to do. All right, so that app is downloaded. Because I'm just curious if the app is going to install the print drivers, which I don't think it will, on the Mac at least. But let's see what happens. All right, continue. Do you want to help? I'm going to keep that to myself. Let's find your printer. All right, so maybe it does do it. Let me just make this full screen here. I'm just going to record this session as well. And this has been like the bane of my existence in the past, has been the fact that these printer installation processes were awful. And they would take you down these paths that were really not good. And I think they've really cleaned it up quite a bit. All right, so here we have the printer. I'm going to click Continue. And it's already on the network. So it looks like the app might actually guide us through the driver install, which is great. This is on the Mac, by the way, in case you're wondering. Next up will be Windows, and then we'll do a Chromebook. All right, I don't need to do that. OK, it says it's done. So, oh, OK, here's. All right, so you know what's funny about this is that it's taking me through the process that I would have gone through anyhow. Although it's important, I think, to have the app for some of the added features of the printer, but the process that I would have taken, oh, it says it did it. Let's see. I would have done what they just suggested. It looks like it kind of does it through some kind of script or something. We'll see if it shows up in the list. And we'll see if it finds the printer. I'm sure it'll find the printer. I found it before. And I'm just going to, just for folks tuning in, want to see what I'm looking at here. All right. Printer setup. Cool. So I mean, I can print the same document we just printed, which we're not going to do now. Okay, so now what I should see on here is the picture of the printer, what our supply levels are, and then I can get access to all the tasks here. And then, like I said, if I was not here right now, I could get access to these things remotely. And you can use Amazon's A-Word with it. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do beyond that. All right, so now what I'm curious about, though, is whether or not the operating system has the printer attached. So let me go into my control panel here, and we'll take a look and see if it's on my list of printers now. And give me 1 second here, I'll pull it up for you. Oops. So let's cut back over. We are on camera 8, and there you go. So it is there and ready to go. Pretty cool. All right, I'm just going to stop recording there. So that was neat because I haven't seen a Mac app do that before. Like it's usually like Apple doesn't like apps doing things that don't involve the app's execution. So that was pretty easy. So the next thing I want to do is get my Windows computer to connect to the printer. So I've got my little Windows tablet over here, and we're going to just get it going. And let's set it up over here. I'm just going to put this on my network, the Ethernet network, so bear with me. I have a whole bag of tricks in my back cabinet here, and one of the things that I've got is this handy little Ethernet adapter. And what's cool about this is from a company called StarTech.com, is that it takes power in. So if you've got like a one USB port device like this one here, it's super easy to get it going. So we're going to just, and the reason why I'm connecting it to the network is I'm going to share the screen over NDI, and I want to be able to see it on the display. So the Ethernet is kind of the desirable way to make that happen. And I'm just going to go back to the dashboard here, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Okay. And we are going here. Perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to connect my Ethernet adapter to the USB-C port here. Now I should add, on a Surface tablet like this one, you also have the ability to use an external power supply. But it's just easier to kind of do it this way. So we're going to connect up. Oh, geez, I got I have too much stuff down here. I've got to clean this place up. It is a disaster. But we will do that after this video is over with. Okay, so let me get my USB-C power source here. Yeah, I was going to clean up this weekend, and then I was doing a bunch of extra work, which I always end up doing. So what happens is that, and I should look at it this way, but I don't look at cleaning up my office as productive time, but I often can't find things, which then eats into my lack of, which eats into stuff, you know what I mean? So I need to just get more disciplined about cleaning this place up. And this might be the week to do it because I'm kind of ahead of the game, so that might be the way to go. Alshan wants to know what's the cost. So the cost on the printer is $149.99. That, of course, does not include your consumable costs that you'll likely incur over time with it. But the link in the video description will take you to this stream on Amazon where you can get it today. It is available. Today is the day it came out. They had an embargo on it. What's funny is I've had a few embargoed printers from HP delivered over the years, and they don't like wrap them in anything. They just send them out. So it's funny because like there's just no press interest in like the next printer unless it's going to print, who knows. So it's kind of funny that they embargo it, but they just send it out, completely unmasked, if you will. Okay, so we're going to load up my NDI app on the Surface tablet here and get my screen shared. And it was weird, my Windows computer here, the tablet like crashed. And the drive is fine, it just would stop booting Windows. I had to wipe it out and start over again. But I like this little tablet especially for this kind of stuff because it's so handy to have a small Windows computer at the ready. All right, and it looks like it didn't detect my Ethernet here, so let me just give it a nudge. So I'm just going to pop this out and pop it back in again. I found sometimes that the Ethernet gets picked up on the second time because it hasn't seen this device before. So hopefully it switches over. If not, it doesn't really matter. There it goes. Okay, there we go. So now we're good. Let me just do one more scan of the network here, and we'll take a look and get this Windows computer configuring with it. So we'll go to desktop. Okay. All right, so now we've got the little tablet going here. And this thing is like as a fresh install as a fresh install can be. It is just completely like from scratch here. So I'm going to go into settings. Now, what I found was that when the printer first got on the network, you would normally get a notification pushed to you to say that, hey, this printer is available, and it'll probably configure it in the background. But that is not what happened with this thing when I booted it up. So we're going to go over to Devices. And what we're going to do is go over to Printers. And I'm going to add a printer. And hopefully it will find it on the network. And here it is. And I'm going to click Add Device. And that should be all that needs to happen, although it looks like you just lost the image. So I'm still here, but for some reason the computer decided to stop transmitting video. Oh, we're back. Okay. All right, so it's still grabbing stuff, and I'm guessing it's probably downloading some drivers from the internet here. And there we go. So now it's also directing me to get the Windows app. So I might just grab that just for the heck of it, just to have it on here. And that's not required. So the only difference really is that if you're not running the app, you can't use the printer off-site because the printer driver is pretty much tied to your network, your local network. But if you install the HP Smart app, then you can get it going on some other stuff. So we'll let that download here, but the printer is pretty much up and running. And what I want to do real quick is just print out a test page to it just to make sure it's working. So let me stop recording here real quick. I'm just going to save this clip here. So if I can just print a quick test page from it just to make sure it works. Oops. Yeah, it looks like it's still downloading some things. It wasn't doing that before. Okay. Oh, there we go. Open printer. I see. So now that the app is tied to the thing. And again, same onboarding that we had before on the Mac. And there's the printer. And if you had multiple HP printers, like you would, my mouse is totally screwing up here. If I had, this is all me, by the way, it's not the app. So if you had multiple HP printers, like you would see the other printers available to you there. You can do some diagnosis stuff here. Let's just print out a quick, oops, I don't want to do that. No. Save time and smart task. Let's go back here. So I'm seeing the mobile fax here. I didn't see that on my phone, but this was that faxing feature that I was talking about. So you could send a fax through the app, and you get a 24-month trial. That's a long trial. I better make a note of this so I don't forget to talk about it later. Vanandium of Bavaria is here. He's a huge fan. Well, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We're just testing out a printer today. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but believe it or not, printers are the most, like for long-term health of a video's lifespan. In other words, like a video that generates good revenue and viewership over the long haul, printers are it. That's what drives the business, believe it or not. It's kind of funny to think about it, but that's the truth. So yeah, you get a 24-month fax trial. So the fax isn't built into it. So what's happening here is that you are sending faxes through HP's software. So there's no fax leaving the printer over the phone line. And what you would do is scan the document using your phone or the app here. So you put the document in, and then you would tell the printer here to scan it to the app. And then the app would fax it out through HP's software. And I just want to set this, I just want to see what the process is for setting it up. I'm guessing you have to sign in with your username and stuff. But give me a second here. Okay, yes, I got to log into that. So I'll check that out in the review. Because believe it or not, I still get a lot of people writing in about faxing, because people still do fax. In fact, my old job, let me just disconnect the Windows machine here. My old job, we used to get a lot of orders in via fax. Like that was almost the primary mechanism by which many of our customers would submit orders. So people are still faxing. And this is like legit fax. So if you go to send a fax, it's going to put it out on the phone line and fire it off there. So you get 2 years. So get this. So think about it this way. And again, I'm not trying to sell you a printer here. I'm not about that. But think about what you're paying for that dedicated phone line to send out faxes. You buy the printer, and it's only on this one apparently. But if you buy this printer, they give you 24 months of free faxing. So you could cancel your phone line. What does a phone line cost? Like $50 a month? So you cancel the phone line and do it all through the app. You know, test it out first, make sure it's going to work. But I think that's a good deal, in my opinion. NV Pro 6455, and I'm just putting together my notes here for the review. And I want to also make note of the 24-month fax trial. I mean, that could save people a lot of money. Think about, and then think about, like, are you still going to be faxing in 2 years? Like, is that something that might still be happening, right? I don't know. I mean, I used to fax occasionally, but just about everybody I know now can take a PDF via email. So that's where it comes down to. Sherry Pierce writes in with a question. Can you print pictures, and how much is faxing after? So you can print pictures on this, but here's going to, now hopefully we'll get to some photo printing in a minute. But here's the deal with printing photos on this. This is not a photo printer. It'll print photos, but it's not going to be a good quality photo printer because it has only 4 ink colors. And I really recommend folks who really want decent photos to get a photo printer because you can get 5 or 6 ink photo printers that look spectacular. This one, I say, is going to be more on the line of kind of like business graphics, that sort of thing. I think that'll work better. And we'll print out a document in a minute that's got a little bit of both. The fax service, let's look that up because Sherry's wondering what the fax service costs. So let's see, HP Smart Fax cost. And we'll take a quick look at the cost of it here. And let's go over to the mobile fax page and see what they are charging for that. I probably will need to cover this in the review. You're welcome, Sherry. I'm just looking here now to get the price on this for you. What does it cost? Okay, the mobile fax service will be free until sometime in the first half of 2021. They're not going to require a credit card for you to use it, and it doesn't say how much it's going to cost. HP will inform users of available paid service plans 30 days prior to the end of the trial expiring sometime in the first half of 2021. And then at that point, so they don't have a cost yet for the fax. Now, what's of interest here, because this will be important for medical providers, it is HIPAA compliant. So they do have the HIPAA compliance there, and I think that's going to be important for people working in a medical office that are faxing, medical records and stuff. So it is free until it ends, and then we don't know what it's going to cost. My gut is, given what the market is for those fax services, it'll be less than the cost of the phone line that you're paying for now. I think that's probably going to be the cost. Now, what I don't know, so let's look at one other item here, because it's one thing to send a fax, but what about the reception of the fax? Can I receive a fax without a fax machine? And the answer to that is no. So it only supports sending, not receiving. So that might be a deal breaker for some folks. So I need to write that down also. Does not receive faxes, because you know what? They'll hear smart fax, But you could give people your printer's email, and that would work the same way. So if somebody sent a PDF to the email, that would have it come through. No pricing yet. Okay. All right, good. Now, we're going to grab the Chromebook and get this going. Now, on the Chromebook, I need to connect this to a video output device. So let me just log out of my wife's account here and put myself, I'll use hers, what the heck. So my wife's MacBook broke the other day, and I had her use the Pixelbook Go here, and it worked out pretty well. She really, she obviously missed her MacBook immensely, and that's her preference is the MacBook, but the Pixelbook was not bad. It did a nice job throughout the course of the week. And I've got to go in with a different connector here because the Chromebooks do not transmit their screen as NDI. So we're going to connect it to the Spark box here. Now, I'm going to just let you know, I sometimes have trouble with this box that I'm connecting to right now, and sometimes it crashes my video system. So if I disappear, I will be right back. But it hasn't, they did a firmware update, and that seems to have fixed it. So I think that is good. Oh, so Mike Carr says, send the MacBook to Lewis, and that is exactly what I did. I sent him the MacBook. I paid for it, obviously. He doesn't know who I am. And I got it back in about a week and a half, and that was right in the middle of all the crazy stuff that's been going on in Manhattan. So it came back good as new. And it was far less than what Apple would have charged me, because it was the motherboard was broken. It had there was something wrong with the main board, the logic board. And so they, okay, I'm bringing in that video source now. If it doesn't boot me out, I think we're good. Okay. So they fixed it up. It was great. It was really good. Okay, so now we're going to do the Chromebook. And let me get myself organized here. So I've got the Pixelbook Go here. And I'm just going to make sure that my screen is mirrored, which it is not. So let me grab my settings here and get that going. And then we'll see how the Chromebook portion goes. Chromebooks have been tricky up until recently. Jake is here. So Jake is taking a week in Florida to visit some family. So it's got to be hotter than you know what down there. I've been to Florida like in the summer. It is hot down there. Super hot. Let me go to device. I think I have to go to my screen settings here. Sorry, folks, I'm just getting my screen configured. But I think the price is right on this. Interestingly, this is the same, costs the same as the Tango does. But the value proposition on the Tango, and I'd have to double check to make sure this is still the case now, but the value proposition on the Tango is, I think they give you free, so if you print up to a 5x7 photo printing with instant ink, they don't count the photo prints as a print. I don't know if they're still doing that or not, but I think it might be. So Amda Brown is in Broward County, Florida. I've been there many times. In fact, I have a good friend that lives in Fort Lauderdale. Vandium is from Austria. They've had a few things going on there too. Yeah, it's interesting how movements are becoming internationalized. now, for sure. We are becoming a much smaller world, for sure. We have to learn how to get along with each other. Jake says it was 85 at 10 a.m. while it was cloudy. So yeah, that would definitely be cloudy down there. Okay, yeah, to me, it's going to just get worse. Okay, so, and somebody asked me the boxers or briefs question. That's a personal one. Depends on my mood. All right, let me go over to printing, and I'll pull up my other computer here. So let's go to printers. And we hit record here. Now I found with Chromebooks that printing can be kind of a mixed bag. But look at this. It's right here. Can I zoom in on this? Let's see if I can zoom in. I can't zoom in. HP MV. So let's click save here. Oh, it disappeared. Where'd it go? No longer available. There it goes. Okay. And now it's there. So what I'm going to do real quick is, let me just save one piece of B-roll here. Sherry says she has the Tango, and they are still doing that. Okay, so good. So the free photos on the Tango are still a deal. And I think that's another good value proposition, because if you're printing a lot of photos, and so Sherry, to your question, if you have the Tango, I would say the print quality for photos on this one is going to be about the same. I think it's the same mechanism, or a very similar one. All right, so this is Chromebook setup part 1. All right, and now we're going to go to the second step here, which is to actually print something. So I'm just going to go and find a quick website I can visit that'll let us print out something. I think my wife got something stuck in the keys here. All right, so I've got, what else? The NASA.gov homepage here. So let's go and print this. Now, it's not going to print the background, obviously, but it will nonetheless. Where'd it go? Let's see more. Okay, here we go. HPMV. There we go. All right. And I'm not going to. This is not a good example. So let me find a better example here that I can print. Oh, that's right. They're going to launch the. They're going to launch that new Mars rover soon. So the new rover that they're launching is the same design as the last one. So it's going to land with that crazy sky crane maneuver and everything. Here, this will be a good one to print. This is a great one to print. Let's just see how it's going to look before I hit record again. So we'll go to print. Yeah, so that's good. This has a photo. It's funny. They used to have these buttons that let you just print stuff out. Because it's got, I want to just print out this stuff in the middle here. Let's see what happens if I do this part here. Print. Yeah, so it's the same thing. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and print this to the printer. So let's go one more time to print. And let's see if it starts printing. It looks like it's going because the printer reacted. Yeah, here it comes. So Chromebooks, no problem. And here it comes. Yeah, not bad. So there's some banding, and we'll see more of this in a minute. Now you see how fast that page is coming out because there's very little color in it. So when you've got a photo on page like we have here, that obviously eats up a little bit more. But it's not bad. One thing you'll notice here with, see there's some banding in the photo? So that's because of the print mode that we selected. So if I had chosen the fine mode, when you've got a lot of stuff like this, a lot of ink in one spot, it'll look better. And you'll see an example of this in a minute when we switch over. Let me just stop recording here real quick and just log this clip. So we're going to call this Chromebook. So the setup has been super easy with this thing. I'm pretty happy with the setup process. And the big, what they've done, I think, pretty effectively, HP, is they've gotten out of the, there's been a friction point in getting the printer on the network. That's been the friction point that I've seen really frustrate people, myself included, because your choices are download this crazy software that scans your network and plug in the USB cable, but only temporarily, or you're poking around on a tiny little screen trying to get it on the network. All that stuff can be really aggravating, right? So this is a much easier way to go about it because you've got your phone and you can go from there. Rory says faxing requires a phone line. It doesn't necessarily. So this will fax out through their app, and you're using HP's servers to do that. So there is a computer somewhere connected to a phone line that is doing the actual faxing. But you will get 2 years of free faxing out with this, but no fax in. So you'd have to give them your printer's email address to grab the faxes that way. We'll go from there. Donetta says, unknown charges to credit card in the Amazon chat. I am unfortunately not Amazon customer service, so you may have to contact Amazon customer service for that. Now, Bruce says, no one ever talks about print heads drying out due to non-use. The head cleaning process burns through ink like crazy. And I am with you 100% on that. And I do mention it from time to time in my reviews, and I'm going to make a note to do that here, primarily as it relates to instant ink. And you are correct that if you do not print often, you are frequently using up a lot of ink to clean out those heads. And I've got that problem with a printer I have out back because I print color. Honestly, like I print color to print out my little business cards when I go to a trade show. and that's the one time I print color. A lot of, I'm printing a little bit more right now just because my kids are home, but I feel you on that. So that's where I think, and again, it requires a monthly fee and all the other stuff. But that's where I think the instant ink makes a little sense or more sense, because they don't charge you for the ink that you're using to clean the print heads. So you're only paying for actually what prints out. The caveat to that, though, because there's always a caveat, right? The caveat to that, I'm just looking to get my MacBook back on here for a second. The caveat to that is the issue of what happens when you print and it doesn't look right because the ink heads are clogged, right? So then you get a bad print, they count the page, and I think you can go in and plead your case and ask for, credit against those pages. That might be a pain in the butt. I'm going to ask them about how that works, because that's the one area where I could see that being an issue where you're dinged for the page because you have to print again to see if the head is clear or not, and how they get you for that. That's something we have to think about. And Bruce is exactly right. Like, they make their money off the printers. That is it, off the consumables. The printers are sold, below cost sometimes, or just at cost, and that's exactly it. But I have so my advice to people is that if you are in need of a printer and you only print color every month or two, then a color laser printer is the way to go. It costs more to buy it and to operate it, but in the long run, you're going to spend a lot less on consumables. The downside to laser is that it doesn't handle photos as well as an inkjet does, right? There's always these these things there that you got to deal with. All right, so what I'm setting up for now is I'm just going to grab a document here that I want to print out real quick. And I'm going into Pages on my Mac here. I'm just waiting for it to load up here. And give me a second here. So David Yablonsky wants to know, what software do I use for business cards? So you know what I've been using? I should have put this in my Amazon stream here. I got a bunch of things that are popping up in my head that I should have put on the Amazon stream. So I use these Avery, they don't have any perforation. They're just like these snap-off business cards that you can run through a printer. So I use those, and then they have, I should do a whole live stream about this actually. They have on their website a web-based tool in which you can design the business cards. And I'm a simple man, as you know, so I have my logo and my contact information on it. And then what you do there is you download the PDF file that it outputs, and then I just print it out locally. And that's been working fine. I do like generally get, I do print out, all right, I've had like professionally printed cards, especially when I'm doing CES and stuff, and I just ran out of those. I had about two years worth of cards on that one, so it's good stuff. Okay, so let me show you what we're going to print out here real quick, and we're going to do a couple different scenarios. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to print out this document just like default. And what you'll notice about this is that we've got text of varying, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't even showing you what I was looking at. So what I'm going to be doing here is printing out a document where we have, so this is knocked out text. So the printer is not going to print white. It's going to print this magenta, and then it's just not going to print over where the letters are. So we have some knocked out text. I believe that they call that knockout in the print business. We have photos. We have black text. We have blue text. We've got business graphics, these solid colors here. And then, you know, some other varying things here as well, and just a bunch of different things. And what I'm going to do first is just print this out like default and just see what this looks like. And actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this because this will be good B-roll for later. So we're going to go to print. Actually, you know what I'm going to do real quick? I'm just going to scroll through this so I have something to explain to people as we're looking at everything. That's my dog, by the way, and that's my daughter. That's my youngest. That's my coffee. I don't get the Dunkin' Donuts coffee anymore because I haven't left the house in like 8 months. All right, so now we're going to go to File and Print. I miss my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I may start going there soon. I miss those guys and gals. Go to my HP Envy. And now you'll notice here I'm not doing anything special. I'm just going to print. So this is like the default print mode. And then we're going to let it do its thing here. And I'm going to pull this out so that we have some stuff. And now what it's doing, it's thinking, I think. And we should see that change. And what's happening right now is that this is a big print job. There's a lot of data in this because we've got photos and the graphics and everything else. So this takes a while for it to transmit. And the computer has to do some rendering of that document before it sends it off. But now we're seeing that it's getting ready to print. And again, this is not the high quality print, so this is going to come out a lot quicker. And you see how long it's taken? Because there's a lot. So it's processing data and it's trying to print at the same time. And you'll find that when you've got like a multi-page document like this, until it receives everything, it takes it a while to get going. But then it'll start moving a little quicker. There it goes. See that? And it's printing the last page first, and then it's going to do the other ones here. So again, this is in the default mode, and I'm just waiting for that page to come out. Yeah, it's really thinking here. There it goes. Now it's cooking. And you'll see it print at varying speeds based on what's going on. So it was printing that first part quicker because it was just a big block of magenta. So, not bad. So Bruce wants to know, what is with the pulsing light on it? So what they've said to me is that the pulsing light is there because they got rid of the display. So the white light means everything is good, and then if you've got a different color light, then there's something wrong. And I'm guessing that the instructions tell you where the, where the trouble is. Redbreast wants to know, is this a normal speed? So for this price of printer, I think this is a pretty normal speed. Okay, there, it's just finished up. So I think my next run, I'm going to do an overhead view here. So let me just log this clip real quick. Yeah, so this is a little on the slower side. Now, in fairness, there's a couple of things to think about. The computer was sending it multiple pages through, so that slows it down a little bit. And I'm just making a note on my B-roll here. So I'm going to move this back a little bit. I want to get a better shot. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to run the first page of that document so we can get a better sense as to exactly what the true print speed is. So let's go down to pages again here. And I'm just going to do, I'm going to print. And this time I'm just going to do that first page. So we'll say HP NV Pro here. We'll say from 1 to 1. And again, we're not doing any special stuff here. We're just going to print it out normal. One page. And we're going to send that one through. All right, so now that is going, and it's going to take it a minute to process that. I just want to get an overhead shot of that, that document coming out. And I'm just going to check the computer here, and that is processing, so let's give it a second. I will say, though, it doesn't look bad. I'll give you a closer look at the print quality here in a minute. It doesn't look bad. I'm seeing some banding in those blocks of color and in the photo. But as you'll see in a few minutes, when we run the better quality print through, you won't get banding. But the text looks great. Like, it is super sharp, even on the standard mode and all colors. And again, that's where these printers kind of excel, is that they're not great at photo printing, but they're usually generally pretty good for doing text and business graphics and stuff. There it goes. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's a little on the slower side, and I think a lot of that's just from processing. So, you know, for the price point, this is fine. All right, give me a second on that. Sherry Price wants to know, what do I feel is the best hope for photos? So I would say if photo quality is super important to you, I would look at getting a I think there are 6 color photo printers, and you'll see them out there. Like, they're specifically designed for photo printing. And whether you buy HP, Canon, you know, there's always going to be, you know, some really high-end print reviewer that's going to say one is better than the other. But generally, if you like HP and you buy their 6 color photo printer, I think you'll have a good experience with it. Standard part 1. Okay, so now let me give you a closer look at what I'm talking about with some of the banding issues here. So let's wait for the camera to focus. I don't know if you can all see this or not. And it's probably going to get really hard to see this on a live stream where where you don't get a lot of detail. But you can probably see, let me switch over and see if I can see it on my thing here. If you look really closely at number 1 there, you're going to see some lines. You see that? Those lines there? Do you see that? I'm just looking at the stream as it's coming through to see if I can, I'm just waiting for it to catch up here with me, but I'm going to give you a better look at that. I'm going to record this real quick as well. But there's some lines in here that you can see, like just that banding. And again, it's probably hard to see on the stream. And that's normal for a low-cost printer when you don't set the quality up higher. So I am very, though, satisfied with the text quality on it. I think it looks good. The photo looks good, too. My camera washes stuff out a little bit on white paper, so the photo looks a lot better than it does right now. But what we're going to do next is, and I'm just going to make a note on the paper itself, just so I have these. What I usually do is I take photos of the printouts and then run those photos as B-roll, just because my cameras do such a lousy job. They do such a lousy job of getting a good image. My cameras just don't have a good dynamic range. So I'm just writing down what the print mode was of this batch here, and I'm just going to set those aside. So now what I'm going to do is run the document at a higher quality. So what we're going to do next is just go back to Pages again, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. So let's go over here, and I'm actually going to record this. So we're going to go back to Print, and I'm going to go back over to the HP Envy, and then what you want to do is kind of drill into the media and the quality. And you can see right now it's set to normal. And what we want is best. And what this will do is it'll take more time to print, but it's going to look a lot better. And so if you want the best quality, you get some really high quality paper and you set it to best. And there will be a noticeable difference. The big noticeable thing would be that you won't see the banding that you saw before, but it's going to take it super long to print out. And let me just make a note of that B-roll clip there. This is 7008. And on Windows, it'll look a little different. You just have to go in through whatever's appropriate for your operating system. But you notice here we're waiting for it to print out, right? And it's going to print out super slow, because it takes a lot of time, but it does it much better. So you're going to get something that's much closer to what the original document looked like. Bruce wants to know, is this connected? Yes, it is on the 5 gigahertz band. I don't know if it supports AC or not. It might just support N at 5, but it's definitely on my 5 gigahertz network. Vagnum says you can use cardstock for cards. Yeah, you could use like index cards or something like that. I've done that before. I though tend to prefer a printer that has a manual feeder. This one doesn't, just because those cards have to get bent. It has to bend them around to get them out from the lower section of the printer around to the top. So that can sometimes be an issue. Jeff Jones says he's found thicker paper, like 24-pound, works better with inkjets. And I would agree with that, because you want something that can absorb the ink better. So a really thin paper is not going to look as good. This thing's super slow in that fine mode, actually. Look how slow it's coming out. It's taking its time. Like, it's super slow. But you see what a difference that is? Like, the other one just kind of flies out. This one is like super slow. And I got to look at the specs and see what they rate the different speeds at. But I can tell you, though, like, it looks a lot better. I'm seeing just a hint of the banding as it's coming out, but it's not nearly as bad as it was on the standard mode. And even then, like, honestly, like, the standard mode was not bad. But this looks a lot sharper. I dare say that this looks almost like laser quality. I mean, it looks really good. I mean, the photo looks great. I'm actually surprised by how good the photo looks. That looks spectacular. I mean, when you get closer to the photo, you can see some of the little dots and stuff in there, but it looks a lot better. And I'm seeing a little bit of the banding on the blue, but it is not nearly as pronounced. So it's definitely, and you won't be able to see this on the stream, unfortunately, but it does look much better. It just has, you can't tell the difference on the stream, but it looks, in person, I can tell you it looks a lot better. But I'm still seeing some of the banding, so it's not perfect. Definitely not perfect. But that's not what you buy this for, because you buy the expensive printer for perfect. All right, a couple things I want to try, more things. So that's that. Let me just label this piece of paper so I know what I'm looking at here. And the next thing we're going to do is a little duplex action, and then we'll have to wrap up. So now we saw the color speed and performance. So now we're going to look at the performance of just black and white stuff. So I've got, let me close this out. I have a file somewhere. I'm just looking through my list of stuff here. Yeah, so I have, this is a perfect document for this. Let me show you what I've got up here right now. So this is what they call lorem ipsum text, just a bunch of text. And this is going to fly out of here. So let's go print this out. And you'll see how much faster the black and white stuff prints. And I'm going to queue up camera 3 here so we can get the overhead view. So again, I'm just going to print this out. No double-sided. We're just going to let it rip. Okay, so here we go. Print. And boom, it's going to start cranking. So watch this coming out. It's going to be like night and day. It does take a second for everything to get processed over. And this is, by the way, like they're marketing this as kind of a low-volume printer. So nothing too... Look at that. I mean, that is like... So if you're printing out black and white documents, super fast. Super fast. All done. So that was quick, right? So nothing bad there. So now, that's the standard mode. Looks fine. I mean, it looks great. And honestly, for draft, standard quality mode, that's great. Very happy with that. So let me just label this as standard. Okay, so now we're going to do a duplex print. So what that means is that it's going to print on both sides of the paper. So we're going to go to File and Print again. And this time, actually, let me just log the clip real quick here. This was 7010, black and white text. Okay, so the next one is two-sided. And we're going to just select two-sided, same document. Now this will take a little bit longer to print because it's going to have to print out one side of the paper and then suck it back in and print the other side. So we'll hit print and we'll go back here. See what it's doing? Now that last page didn't have anything on the second part. But watch what it's going to do here. It's going to take that paper, it's going to suck it right back in and print on the other side. I don't know how it does it. It just does it. It's magic. I had a professor in college that used to talk about TV, how TV cameras worked. He goes, I don't know how they work. It's just magic. There you go. See that? So it's got the, prints out one side, sucks it back in, flips the paper over, and prints on the other side. It looks like there's a bit of a delay as it gets to the end of the first page before the second one. And now it's done. So now we had 3 pages of physical paper, although it's printed on both sides. And this is where if you've got thin paper, you're going to feel the ink on it, So not bad. Okay, so now, let me save that real quick. Now I want to do a scan because I want to see, this supposedly has, this is the big, I think for the price point, a big differentiator because they said in the specs, I think, no, you know what, I'm confusing this with another printer I was looking at. I'm sorry. This is not a duplexing scanner. I'm just going to double check to make sure that's the case. I have another printer from another manufacturer that we're looking at soon that is a duplexing scanner, but not this one. Let me just double check that though, just to make sure. So you can print on 2 sides, but you can't scan on both sides. But let's see how the scanning works real quick. So I'm just going to bring in, bear with me for 1 second, folks. I want to bring my phone back in. So where did my iPhone go? Here it is. Okay. And I think it should pop back up here again. Bear with me. I'm just going to get my 2-up view going here again. So we're going to go overlay, multi-view, and we're going to go to Lon's iPhone. There we go. Okay. All right. So let's pull this back up again here. And we're going to do a quick scan. Yes, Jeff Jones says the brochure folding machines are magic. Yeah, a friend of mine had one of those letter folding machines. That was pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to do a scan here. So we're going to go to, I'm just looking through my options here. So let's go to printer scan. And what I want to do here is go to source. The scanner is right. So I want to go off of the okay, input source. Okay, it's automatic. So I guess I could force it to the document feeder. Let's see what happens if I just do it. So I'm going to hit the button. And let me start from scratch here. The only reason why is I just want to just show for B-roll purposes, show the workflow. So we're going to go over to printer scan, and we're going to hit the button. Let's see what happens. Now, I think it's going to detect that it's got documents in the feeder. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that is like super slow. But you can see it's feeding it right into the phone. And it looks a little blurry right here, but I think that's just like what it's developing as it's going through its, I don't think it's actually that blurry. It's just giving you like an idea as to what you're seeing. So Bruce says, yeah, so I have a brother scanner that does that duplexing scanning. It's so fast. Like you just load it up and it's done like lickety split. Greg M wants to know, can it do OCR while scanning? That is a good question. I don't know. Let's see what happens when this document comes in and what we can do with it. And one of the things that I've liked also about what HP's done is that the apps that you run on desktop or the phone are the same. So they're pretty quick and easy to get to here. Okay, so now we've got that document scanned. And give me a second because I'm just going to finish recording this. And I just want to set up another overlay here. So just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to get one more of these things going here. Video, darker. And I'm going to add my phone to it. I just want to show the phone, like what the phone sees when these documents come in. And we're going to go over here and crop. I got to write to them about this because I'm seeing this little bit of a green edge on these things as they come in. Okay, so here is the phone interface. And I'm guessing, yeah, so I could zoom in on this. Yeah, scan quality looks fine. So I can click done there. Now so I've got smart tasks here. So let's see what we can do for smart tasks. All right, so tap on smart tasks to complete your repetitive tasks. Okay. So what does that mean? Create custom smart tasks. Oh, I guess these are like automations that you can do. But the question was, can it do OCR? And I'm pretty sure that it does do OCR. So let's select the format as PDF, file size actual. And I guess it's just, smart tasks. I can print this again, which I don't want to do. So I have to look into the OCR feature. I'm pretty sure there is an OCR feature, but I am not certain about that. So we'll have to look into that a little bit more. I know that they've got some kind of OCR feature there. So that I think it can do. Preview to phone while scanning is pretty cool. Yeah, I think there's some interesting things here. And what's neat about this too, that if we go over to back to the Mac here, I'll pull this up real quick. You'll see that the app on the phone, and just bear with me here, the app on the phone is the same as it is on the computer. So if I wanted to scan a document on the computer, it's the same exact process. So here is, and this would be the same on Windows too, by the way. So, and my Mac is like super old. It's a little MacBook. It needs to be overhauled. Like I just have to reinstall Mac OS on it because it's just getting creamed these days. But we could go through and scan stuff again. And again, it's not a duplexing scanner. And I'll probably need to do some more B-roll of the scanning process here. I mean, look, I mean, for the price point, I don't think this is a bad printer. I think the print quality is decent. I think it looks attractive. I think that's important. And I should probably look at what these buttons do on the computer. So let's see what happens here. So it looks like I've got a 0 here. So I could make a copy. Let's try this real quick. Because watch what happens when I put the document in. So as I load the paper in, I have the ability to make a copy here. And I guess, oh, I see. So this is a color copy, because that's in color. And this is a black and white copy. And what I'm curious about, oh, yeah, look at that. OK, so let's try this. Let me start this again here. So let's look at doing, so let's record this. So let's say we want to make a copy of this document. I'm going to put this in here. And now it's got a light up thing here. So let's say I want 2 copies. And so I didn't have to even hit the start button. It just knows that I want to do that. So again, the scanning is not super fast here, but I should get 2 copies out of this when it's done. And that was without any intervention of the app. And it's going to finish printing out the rest of the document, and then it's going to give us a second copy. All right, that's pretty cool. 2 copies. Easy peasy, right? So now let's try a color one. All right, so let's get this in here. So now we'll do the color document. This is that high quality one that we did before. So let's do one color document. And let's see how that works. And I do not expect the colored one to look as good as the output of the color copy to be as good as the original here, but let's see. Actually, not bad for a scan. For a scan, that isn't bad, I gotta say. Honestly, that's not bad for a color scan. That's pretty good. That's really good. I got to move this out of the way so I don't confuse myself. Let's try one more scenario. Let's do a black and white copy. So let's put this in. And instead of that color button, I'm going to hit the black and white button here. And let's see what we get. So what's neat about this is that it's using the same guts as what we've seen on prior printers, but you're getting a new interface, a way to simplify the process a little bit, and I like that simplicity. And then we're just waiting for that to finish up here. There you go. So that's a black and white copy. Good stuff. All right, let me just make a note of this real quick. And we'll call this 7012. This is copying B-roll. I'm actually surprised I've got this many people watching me live stream about a printer, because generally printers aren't things that interest viewers all that much. So there you go. Let's see, I've got about 10 minutes, so maybe we'll see what else I can do on here. I do have some photo paper, so let me try that real quick and figure out see, that's the one thing that I wish this had, which would be like a, would be to have like a manual feeder. But let me go and, oh, it's right here. How about that? So I've got some photo paper here. So why don't we do a quick photo print and see how that goes. So now to do the photo print, the photo paper, we have to pull out, we got to pull out the paper tray here. I don't want to lose the printer off the side there. So let's pull the tray out. And I've got to take the paper out because there's only one paper tray on this thing. And we got to move it closer if I've got, so this is 4 by 6. And it needs to be face down because you can tell from the little icon there. So let's do this real quick. So we'll hit that and we'll put it face down. All right, so I got a couple pages loaded in there. Actually, I'm curious to see how it will handle multiple pages of photo printer paper in there. All right, so I'm going to close that up. And now I'm going to take my phone out. And what I'm going to do is, so there's an option on here. Let me get my, so there's an option on here to print photos. So I'm going to select that. Now, what I have to do with this is I have to give it access to my photo roll. So here's what you get for options when you do this. You have the ability to use, and this is going to vary based on the platform that you're on, but you can attach all of your accounts to it, all the different cloud services you might be under. And then I've got my own photos that I'm gonna do here. So let me attach my own photo here. Let me just go find something that's decent. I have no indecent photos on here, by the way. I have photos of friends and stuff. I don't necessarily think they want to be in a photo. I just want to find a good one here that has decent, all right, here's a fun one. Okay, so this is a photo of my daughter at the beach the other day. And this is like the perfect photo for her because it's exactly like that photo encapsulates her personality. So I can go in here and I can make some adjustments to the photo if I want. This is all through their app. So I can boost the saturation levels, for example. I could do all sorts of stuff. So all the things that you might do within your photo editing app, you can kind of do here. I'm pretty sure I can do stickers and stuff too. I think they've got some ability to do that. But I'm just going to go and print out the photo. So let me go over to my 2-up here. And let's go and print. All right, so tap on the image to move and rotate so I can move it around. And I guess it's getting it confined to the 4 by 6, assuming that's what it's doing, that I have in there. That's the printer. So I guess I just have to hit print here and see what happens. And this is going to take a while for this thing to come off the printer. I'm pretty sure of that, but let's see. Actually, it doesn't sound like it's taken too long. Let's see. I'm waiting to see if I can see anything coming out of the printer. Not yet. But I do think the light here is pretty cool. And I also like, again, that they put a light by the top so you know where to go at the ink cartridge. That was pretty handy. Okay, I think we're starting to see something. Yep, it's starting to make its way out. So it's going to take a minute per photo or something like that. You can start to see it now coming out. And it looks like it's going borderless, so that's good. Yeah, it's not bad. Actually, it's not bad. Again, my cameras like blow out everything, but I'll say it looks pretty good. Again, I'm getting some banding, so let's see if I can get it visible to you. It's hard to see because the clouds are so light, but there's just in any solid area, there's a ton of banding going on. So that's the only thing. I'm seeing some, yeah, there's a lot of banding there, and that's why, like, I think for photo printing, this is not going to be ideal. Now, what I'm curious about, let's see. Bruce said he saw some text in one portion of this also, and I think that might be in the, let me go back a notch here. I think maybe he saw that. Okay, so the text thing that you saw there was for putting in, like you could drop text on top of the image. So I could do like, hi, and have that like show up in the picture. So you have the ability to do some of this fun stuff. And these are features that came over from their sticker printer, what do they call that thing? We reviewed it. You know what I'm talking about, the sticker printer. They got a sticker printer, it's great. But you can do all these fun little things that you can pop on there. I think there's, yeah, I guess it doesn't have some of those other features. Because like you could do filters, and the sticker printer lets you put in these other things like stickers on top of it. But I'm curious here because I don't see a way to adjust the, oh, wait a minute, okay. There we go. So this is what you got to do on the photo print, is if you drag this up, you have some more options. And it got the size of the page automatically, but you got to adjust the print quality to best. So let's do that real quick and see what a best quality looks like. And this is going to take a lot longer to print out. And you can probably see the ink drain away from the printer in the course of this as well. And let's let that run its course. It's going super slow now. I bet you this is going to take like 2 or 3 minutes for it to come out. And we'll let that do its thing here. Yeah, it's super slow. Super, super slow. By the way, with all this stuff that I have going here, I'm still using only 5% to 7% of my CPU and 11% of my overall RAM on this GPU memory. So I still have like, I'm only utilizing, with this stream, with recording, with this 2 up here, with a bunch of NDI stuff going in, I'm only at 10% on this production computer. That's crazy. I'm totally going 4K once my bandwidth situation improves. So my cameras can all do that. All right. Greg M wants to know, are the cartridges supplied with a purchase? So I think these are beginner cartridges. So yeah, I think you get more out of the purchased ones. And then of course it's the instant ink, which is what they really want you to be doing. All right, so this is the standard quality photo. And then this next one coming out is the high quality one, and it's taken much longer, obviously. All right, that's done. Oh yeah, that's much better. Much, much better. I'm still, like, if you look super close, you can maybe see a little bit of banding in the dithering on it, but it is significant. It's actually, I'll tell you what, for a 4-color, 2-cartridge printer, again, my camera's below this out, so it's just not, this is not a good representation of what it looks like. It's not bad. It really isn't. Let me turn off the light here, and maybe that will give you a better sense of it. Yeah, it's not helping much, but it looks good. I'm really impressed with it. Again, for not being a super high-quality photo printer, this isn't bad. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while. It's going to consume ink like nobody's business. And now let's see what the ink is looking like on the printer. So let me go back to the app here. Bear with me for a second, and let's take a look at, yeah. All right, you ready, folks? Okay, so what have we printed? We've printed like a couple of those pages, right? A couple page, we saw what we printed, right? Some, we've had some decent ink coverage here. But let me see if I can get a better view of the. So how much ink do you think has been consumed so far? Would you say 10%, 20%? Take a guess. So if you look at the top there, we've probably eaten up about 25% of the ink that it came with. And that was with, we've done maybe 20 pages. And in fairness, like we did 2 full coverage 4x6 photos. And then we also did, those business documents. So these certainly ran beyond. But again, I think I keep harping on this instant ink thing, but it's something to really think about, because I could print 20 pages of this, and this is going to use no color ink, but it's also going to consume a lot less ink than this page does because of the coverage, and a lot less than a photo, which is full coverage, right? The way instant ink works, it's always by the page. They don't care what you're printing on the page, what the coverage is. So if you are printing a lot of this with a lot of coverage, they're billing you for this the same as they do for this with less coverage. So that's where I think the value proposition comes in, because that when they say that, so when you go out and buy an ink cartridge and they say it's good for 200 pages, it's good for 200 pages of this, not 200 pages of this. So you probably get maybe 75 to 100 of this when it says 200, right? So that's where I think the instant ink, if you're printing this kind of stuff out a lot, is going to really make a difference in saving you money, for sure. So, that's something to think about there. I'm really surprised, by the way, how much interest there has been in this stream today. I've got another printer we're going to do this with next week, or maybe even later this week. Because it's been fun. I mean, we've got almost, and of course I'm like nearing the end of the stream now, but we have almost 300 watching on YouTube. I mean, we did virtual reality. We didn't get that many watching, and I don't know what the Amazon count will be until I finish. But this was a pretty good stream. So my opinion is, Bruce says we're isolating at home, nothing else to do. That's probably true. Although I will say that this is the kind of stuff that people need right now. You need a printer, right? You got to print. I'm printing, like I said, I'm printing more stuff right now because of my kids being home and we're doing schoolwork from home, right? So we have more printing to do. So that's certainly a factor. I'm just getting organized for the full review here. So there's a lot, there's a lot to print now, and chances are your printer is not cutting it, right? So you gotta upgrade the printer. So now's the time. So again, what I like about this printer is that it's affordable. The price on this is $150, and this is with the ADF, the flatbed, and you get the print thing and everything else, the apps that go with it. 2 years of outbound faxing for free. Now, that's a good deal, right? If you're paying for those faxes. I don't know if you are or not, but so all in, not a bad package here. Where they get you, though, is on the ink. So you got to figure out what the ink is going to do for you. Again, I think the instant ink is of good consideration, because if you are spending money on ink cartridges on a regular basis, it is going to make a difference. It really will. Bear with me here for 1 second, folks. I've let that run too long on the recording. I'm going to have to cut these clips down for Jake, otherwise we're going to be these huge files here. I may not use that one though. Okay. So yeah, I think it's a good value here. Oh, I completely forgot about this. Skogels says that there is a free tier on Instant Ink now. So there may even be, okay, so, wow, okay, so I was not aware of that. So BB Garnett and Skogels said that there's a free tier on Instant Ink. So you get 15 pages per month, BB Garnett says. So, I mean, for a lot of folks, that may be enough, right? If you don't print all that often, you buy the printer, do the 15 pages a month, you're good. Bruce says the subscription service bypasses the retailers. Yeah, the retailers probably don't like that because you're not buying the ink from them with the markup. So exactly, there's that. What's interesting, though, is that when you look at the Amazon listing, and I'll pull it up real quick, The Amazon listing does talk about the Instant Ink as being a feature. Let me double check that. This is the NV Pro. Oh, I have it right here. So let's take a look and see what the Amazon listing shows us here. Yeah, so this is the Amazon listing. So it is $149.99, free returns. 35-page ADF, as we saw. Hey, look, there's me. So here's what's cool about this Amazon Live thing, is as people are browsing the products here on Amazon, and I happen to be live streaming at the time, it puts my live stream right up in the thing there, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so they're like pushing Instant Ink right here on the Amazon page. So I'm guessing Amazon is somewhat comfortable with it, right? But yeah, good stuff. Okay, so the answer to some questions, dual band Wi-Fi. I think that, I don't know if it's AC though, it may just be N. Bluetooth 5, flatbed, auto two-sided printing, USB port for direct connection, which is lacking on the Tango printer, borderless printing, no separate photo tray. So that's the one variation. And then you've got, so there's this one with the ADF, and then the other one, pretty much the same deal, but it doesn't have the auto document feeder. That's the 6055. So that's just with the flatbed. That costs a little bit less. So you're spending an extra 20 bucks on the flatbed. But I think, I'm sorry, on the ADF. You get the flatbed, but no ADF. So I think for 20 bucks, get the ADF. You're going to use that. So not the fastest scanner in the world, but it's adequate. So that's it. So I'm going to have a review of this on my channel soon. I'm not sure when I'm going to shoot it, though. So what I've got going on tomorrow, I might squeeze it in tomorrow. We'll see. As you know, we have all the social distancing going on, so we can't have our traditional high school graduation. So we're doing a drive-through graduation, and it's going to take all day on Wednesday. And then I'm helping with the live streaming. So I'm going over to the high school tomorrow at 1 to do a dry run to make sure it's all going to work. And that'll probably take a couple hours, and then by the time I get back from that, I'm not going to have time to shoot a video. So, so we're going to basically just do our thing here. So yeah, I'll probably shoot this on Thursdays. This might come up later in the week. But the good news is I've got 2 videos ready to go. So I've got my Plex video. Weekly wrap-up is going up in a few minutes. I got to go upstairs and edit that up real quick. And then I've got a video on how I isolated all of my IoT devices on my network. So that was a good one. And it's good stuff. All right, I'm going to take a few more questions here. Then I got to depart. So Skogel said whenever he bundled Instant Ink with a printer, Staples, who was his former employer, got a portion. So I'm guessing there's got to be some cooperative stuff there. Bruce is using Amazon's auto replenishment on his Brother inkjet, and that's right. So that in that scenario, the Brother printer will go and order from Amazon. It's like those dash buttons, right? So that's that. Eric Bazinga said, "Did I hear about the new Star Wars Squadrons?" I sure did. I am so excited about the new Star Wars game. So that let me say goodbye to the Amazon folks, and I'll show you all the new Star Wars thing, and then I got to run. So first of all, thank you everybody on Amazon for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the stream. We're going to go check out some stuff on my YouTube channel here real quick, unrelated to the printer. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back with more stuff on Amazon very shortly. We're going to stick around on YouTube, though, for a few more minutes. So let me end the stream here. And yeah, so there is a new Star Wars game that is coming out called I'm going to pull up the video here, called Star Wars Squadrons. And it looks great. And here's what I'm excited about, because I have been saying since these VR headsets came out in 2016 that we need a Star Wars game in virtual reality. And I thought it would be a no-brainer that you would have, I'm pulling up the video right here. I thought it would be a no-brainer that you would have a proper Star Wars experience in virtual reality. Like, why would you not, right? Because it's Star Wars, it's virtual reality. When I was a kid in the 80s, we had the Star Wars arcade game, and it was awesome. Like you could be like that's the first game they made. It wasn't anything else. It was the X-Wing against the Death Star, right? And every game consoles had some kind of thing where you could fly the Star Wars stuff around. VR, nada, right? Up until right now. Check it out. Here, look at this. Oh, this is coming in really lousy. Hang on. You know what I'm going to do here? Let me. This is going in over my laptop, which is totally messing up right now. So let me get a better way for you to watch this real quick. Give me 1 second. And we're going to watch this together. And I'm so excited about this because this is going to be, you can play it on your flat screen, but you're also going to be able to play it in virtual reality. And the VR players can be on, because my concern was, and by the way, this trailer shows nothing, but I just want to show it to you because I'm excited about it. All right, give me 1 second here. I'm going to pull it up on my, directly in my system here. So let me add a web browser input here. Give me 1 second and I'll show you what I'm watching. Video, add inputs. And then I've got to run because I've got to get the weekly wrap-up uploaded and take the dog out for a walk. And then I got to get dinner going for the family. I love my kids, but I'll tell you what, I have not had an evening to myself in 7 years, and I'm never going to have an evening to myself ever again. All right, so here we go. This is the trailer, and we're going to play this real quick. Now this is going to be. You want to hear it? Would you like to hear it? Let me put the audio on so you can hear it too. But give me 1 second though, because I don't want to blow your eardrums out. So we're going to go audio on, and then I'm going to go over to the browser thing here. I'm going to turn the volume down so you don't get destroyed when it starts. Okay, so let's start this up. Start this up again here. Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Giving engines full power!
Think you can escape?
This is gonna be close.
Pilots.
So there's like hints of gameplay in this. Like you can't. There's not. Like, I think that first scene there is probably the closest hint of actual gameplay. But I saw that, and I'm so happy that they opened on that shot because that said to me immediately that there's VR in this because like that head jerking is what you typically see on a VR capture, right? So the rest of this is all like pre-rendered in-game engine garbage. But on the 18th, as people correctly noted, that they will be doing a stream of actual gameplay so we can see what it looks like. And to be honest with you, I don't care what it looks like. As long as it's Star Wars and it's like somewhat close to being Star Wars looking in the thing, I'm perfectly fine with that. But it looks pretty cool. I'm so excited for this because we needed this. But it's October. I got to wait till October to play this, but I guess I can wait that long. I mean, I don't care about the cutscenes. I don't care about the character animation here. I want to get in the X-Wing fighter, and I want to take out the Death Star like they did in the movie. And that's the game I've wanted to play since I was like 4 years old. You know, like that's what I've always wanted to see. But this looks cool. And the VR, I'm just ecstatic because I was really concerned that they wouldn't make VR a priority because nobody does, right? And it looks as though that's what they're doing here. So that was really, really good to see. So, yeah, it won't be on the Quest. It's going to be PC VR and PS4 VR. And I'm guessing that the PS5 VR or whatever that ends up being will support it also. And it looks like it's squads of 5, and it's going to be kind of mission based. So I'm guessing like the mission will be take out the Star Destroyers, and all this stuff is great. But I mean, I want to see what it. like I said, I don't care what it really looks like. If it looks close to Star Wars, that's what I see, I'm perfectly happy with it. And that's that. And you know what's funny is Sony did a commercial. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Sony did a commercial. Oh, I think I just hit the wrong button here. Give me a second here. Let me type in something. Sony did a commercial on Star Wars a couple of years ago. It was so good, it like spoke to me. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because I was just like, this is exactly, is it this one? Yeah, this is it. Here, let me pull this up for you. I'm hoping I'm not going to get like hit with a copyright claim on all this stuff. But here, let me turn the sound on. The R2-D2, right? Here he is. I got that toy in my mom's house, right? And then you, like, this is so awesome.
Pre-order.
Right, like that's what it should be. Hang on, let me get rid of this thing real quick. That was like the midlife crisis commercial for me. Like, doesn't that speak to you as a Star Wars fan? Because that was us as kids. My mom we had a Star Wars birthday party. My mom was great. She like themed the whole thing, and we had like pin the tail on the donkey became like pin the antenna on R2-D2 or something, and then she took. She did the R2-D2 cake, like meticulous, right? And then we did like our little craft project was making carbonite frozen Han Solos with tin foil and our action figures and stuff, like this fun thing. So, but that commercial was like so, and I saw that, I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And then the worst part was they're advertising something that isn't the experience. I guess they did have like that very short VR thing for Battlefront 2 maybe on the PlayStation 4. That Rogue One experience, but that wasn't even out. It was just, so now they can run that commercial again, and it's going to be legit. So, so that's good. So we'll see where that goes. But that was awesome. So I'm excited that there is that. And then about 2 weeks ago, we did a live stream with my Oculus Quest because there is a fan-made X-Wing simulator out there, and I saw his tweet this morning. It's called Project Stardust. And he was kind of disappointed that, he wasn't disappointed, but he was just like, oh, this kind of takes the wind out of my sails. I said, they should hire you because he's so good at it. Yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Eric Bazinga is looking forward to Tales from Galaxy's Edge, which is a new VR game that ILM X Lab is announcing. And I think that one, though, if I'm not mistaken, it's at the parks. Am I right about that? Or am I wrong about that? So, yeah, that's going to be fun. Skogel says he never gets tired of that Star Destroyer through the clouds. Yeah, that looked awesome. And, like, there was a game on the GameCube, Rogue Leader. Awesome. Star Wars Rogue Leader. Awesome game on the GameCube, like back in 2001. Best, no, so here's the thing. That game, to me, is the best Star Wars game of all time because I like the space fighter stuff, and that was the last good space fighter game. Battlefront had good space fighter modes, but it was all multiplayer. It wasn't the same. So I have high hopes for this one. Hopefully that's the case. Oh, Eric says there's another fan-made VR Star Wars flight sim also called Squadrons. Eric, you got to send me a link to that. I'd love to see that because I haven't heard about that one. Because now we've got to have stuff that we can play while we wait for the release of the official one. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's it. All right, folks, I got to run because I've got to get the dog walked, the video uploaded, and dinner getting ready to be made. I got to do all those things. So that is what we're gonna get done. But I appreciate so many of you watching me play with a printer. I mean, how boring is that? But not a bad printer. I'm pretty happy with it. It's nice. So yeah. So this will be the next review that I shoot because it's on the desk already, and that's often half the battle. So we'll have that going, and yeah, we'll be back again very soon with another live stream. Like I said, I'm going to be a little tied up for the next couple of days. Eric, send it to my email, Lon@Lon.TV. I'll get it there. So I'm going to be tied up for the next day and a half, essentially, with this live stream for the graduation. But I'm looking forward to it because I haven't done like a legit mission critical live stream yet with my newfound skills with vMix, so I'm excited about that. We're going to have at least we're going to have the PTZ optics camera out there, and then we'll have probably 2 other camera positions, and we're going to try to bring in a drone also. So we've got some really fun stuff to play with, and this is one of these drive-up ones because we don't have we have too many graduates to have in one place for social distancing. So that's it. Skogels said it was the first time you caught me live. Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, set the notification thing. I tend to pop on randomly. I don't like the pressure of like scheduling a live stream, and I don't know how exciting it would be for me to say, hey, we're going to check out this new printer today, and schedule this big live stream event around a printer. So generally we stick to some like big stuff for scheduled live streams, and these are more fun. So cool, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in, and you can find all of my archived live streams at Lon.TV/livestreams. So we have those up there. And that's going to do it for now. So thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you next time. And I appreciate your viewership. Thanks. Bye-bye.